I have tea. I have questions and comments about the Alec Murdaugh murder. We've watched the trial. I've listened to the jury interviews, the juror interviews, and I've watched the Dateline 2020 and the Netflix documentary. All those things combined lead us to have multiple perspectives, eye-opening moments, and suspicious confirmations. Here's the giant load of tea. I could hide behind it. We have a decaf chai from Stash today. And we're just going to get into it. I don't plan on editing this video. I'm filming this in the morning, and hence my appearance. And putting this up, it should be up in the normal time between 4 and 5 this evening, the Friday the 10th. So here's what we have going on. Alec Murdaugh has been sentenced. He was found guilty on all the counts, and one of the jurors was the brother of Evo on the deputies, one of the deputies on the scene. And I understand why that juror wanted to speak out right away, because there was a packed gallery. It's a small community, and people knew. They were like, huh. And he wanted to get out ahead of the interneting and gossip and all that. And he seemed to be objective, impartial, and all of that. And the jurors basically had the same kind of thing that I did. I felt like Alec Murdaugh, taking the stand was one of the things that did him in. And I just didn't see how that would help him. Emily D. Baker said that his hands were kind of tied to take the stand after the Snapchat video, like he had some explaining to do. But what are you going to explain? That you lied? And that was already confirmed. Like, we knew forever before that. We knew week 1 that bro was a liar. And he stuck to his guns for months until that Snapchat video was discovered. And that's when he was like, oh, bleep. What do I do? Because he didn't know that video existed until April of last year. And he was sticking to guns, told everybody who would listen every interview, I wasn't by the kennels. And then the Snapchat video comes out and he's right there. And all the defense could really do about that was go, well, just because they stopped answering text messages doesn't mean that's when they died, even though the pathologist and all of the evidence showed that's when they died. And yeah, so that's the situation there. And they said that he did himself in because he's been shown to be such a liar. He had the gift of gab. They didn't believe his emotions. And they did touch on this a little bit, which is also what affected me more than his emotions or fake emotions, was he was defending himself too much. And that might sound weird because you're on the defense stand and you're the defendant, but I've never been in that situation. But I have been a person who's survived like someone else unaliving themselves. And that's very hurtful. And I wasn't by them. I wasn't super duper close to them. I wasn't their family member. And I still felt like, oh, maybe if I would have called them, maybe if I would have texted them, maybe if we would have had an event going on, that survivor's guilt. He didn't have that. And neither did Buster, which I also thought was strange. And I have some comments about Buster too. But he wasn't like, we need to find who did this. Like, stop trying to look at me and find my guilt. I'm a liar. I'm a thief. But we need to find out who killed my family. There was none of that. Absolutely none of that. And also, it was very put off of me. Like, when he first said Paul, Paul, and Mags, cool. But we never heard that before. And he kept doing it. Kind of like I was annoyed at Creighton for saying your news story. It's like, okay, we get it. It's different. But saying Paul, Paul over and over and over and over, that didn't endear me. It was just, that made me sus. Like the first time it was like, oh. The 15th time, I was like... And the same thing, as I said with Buster, the aunt had survivor's remorse. John Marvin expressed, survivor's remorse. But Buster and Alec were both like, my dad didn't do it, I didn't do it. I'm like, neither one of them said we need to find out who did this. It's like, and there was nobody else within range. Where was Buster? What's his alibi? That he was with his girlfriend somewhere else? That was very tangentially, slightly touched on in the trial, but we didn't go anywhere else with that. How much did Paul know about the drug use? Not Paul. Buster know about the drug use. Paul knew. Maggie knew. Is that why they were the chosen ones? Paul didn't want to go to law school, even though his brother had already, and like, I don't know. The documentary really focused on Paul and his behavior leading up to the boat case. Put him in a very negative light, I will say. He was shown to be abusive to his girlfriend. And Alec and his family, Buster, they're like, oh no, we don't think Paul was driving. You don't think Paul was driving the family boat? I'm more inclined to believe the 4 remaining people from the 6, because Mallory Beach, her life was lost, and Paul Murdaugh's life was lost. The other 4 living people from the boat incident all say that Paul was the driver. I'm going to believe the people who were on the boat, right? I'm going to believe the people who were there, rather than this family that really did show privilege. My heart broke when Mallory's mom was on there and she wanted to go see the scene. Her daughter is the one whose life was lost and was missing, but she wasn't allowed past the yellow tape. But the Murdaughs were. And John Marvin, was the investigation over? He pulled the boat, not law enforcement. There wasn't an impounding of the boat. Paul Murdaugh, it was repeatedly shown, he was never put in an orange jumpsuit. He was never he wasn't just hauled off to the slammer until his court date. He was shown leading up to it on other Snapchat videos and such that he was partying. I understand why people were mad. And some people, Emily D. Baker, one of them, she was like, who would go after such a powerful family? Anybody who knew they couldn't get justice from them otherwise. Law enforcement seemed to be on their side. SLED did not do the most. They did not do the most. And so, and it was odd that the defense was the one trying to be like, oh, they did a sloppy investigation to indict Alec. No, they did a sloppy investigation to not bother him too much. I'm sorry, main murder suspect does not get that. No, we don't special privilege that. But I guess the Murdaugh got it. And there were multiple times where he was caught driving intoxicated. He repeatedly made bad choices. A lot of us have made that bad, unfortunate choice. And you should learn your lesson. He didn't, because it kept getting covered up, thrown under the rug. We didn't mess with it. Even his girlfriend kept going back to him, and it was awful. I still don't think he deserved to be killed. I think that I kind of wish he was alive to take responsibility for his actions. And I think that there's a really big difference. There's a big gap between cold-blooded, premeditated murder and stupid idiot caused to death. There's still loss of life, and that doesn't change that. But the fact that it seemed like Alec Murdaugh was willing to do literally anything, kill himself and his family, to try to save as much face as he could. He thought he was above the law and above getting caught. The Netflix documentary reveals a lot of the calls between Alec and Buster. And he's like, oh, I won I was gambling in here and I won some stuff on the Super Bowl. Oh, that's good. What are they saying about us? You know, he's still concerned about the reputation. Spoiler alert, the Netflix documentary ends with Alec going, "Is there something about us on Netflix?" Which, of course, is very, fitting. But yeah, I want to know where Buster was in all of the all. He's still going to be facing some kind of responsibility for giving Paul his ID, because it seems by all accounts that he knew about it and that was common for Buster to let Paul use his ID. They all look very similar. But I think that as far as the murder of Maggie and Paul, I think that they got justice that Mallory Beach's family will never have, because Paul is the culpable party and he's not there to be the culpable party. So whatever happens from there, happens from there. Alec Murdaugh's clients are getting made right by literally everyone else in the firm who had nothing to do with the theft. And it's sad all around. So that's my 12-minute thought on the Murdaughs. They thought they were above the law. It caught up to them, and it's still catching up to them. I don't think Buster has an easy life after this. He lost a lot of people in his life, and his reputation, his name has been slaughtered like his family. And it's just sad. So, tell me what your thoughts and opinions are on the Murdaugh, the whole thing, whether it be the documentary, the trial, the verdict, the jurors speaking out. I want to know. Let's chat. We can comment chat. So you can get that below. And I will be back to non-murder content next week. Okay, I wish you the best. If you are hurting from something, I hope you heal. And I will see you next week. Bye.